Hello. Um, I am going to. This is your history lesson for the day. I believe we left off talking about. That's right, King Henry VIII and exploration and everything like that. Um, we left off talking about King Henry VIII. If you remember, he had no children. We're going to be on page 203 in the history book, by the way. He had no sons, I should say. He had plenty of children, but they're all girls. He had no sons. And so, because of that, and during King Henry VIII's reign, it was called the Restoration, and there was a start of English exploration. But because King Henry VIII has no sons, it's for the first time in England's history that I know of, they have a queen instead of a king. And so let's talk about the Elizabethan Age, which is when Queen Elizabeth was queen. 203. England rules the seas. Queen Elizabeth I, the daughter of Henry VIII, ruled England from 1558 to 1603, so very long time. King Henry VIII only ruled for 28 years, 38 years. 38 years? Yeah, 38 years. But Elizabeth ruled for 45 years, so she ruled longer than her father did. And during her reign, a bunch of important things happened. During her reign, England became a great sea power and began to settle the New World. It was a very pivotal time in England's history. Queen Elizabeth sent many explorers to the New World, including Sir Francis Drake, who was the first Englishman to sail around the world. He wasn't the first person, but the first Englishman. The first person to sail all the way around the world was Ferdinand Magellan, which we'll talk about next chapter. And she also sent another explorer to the New World named Sir Walter Raleigh, who founded the lost colony at Roanoke Island, North Carolina. A little quick side story about Roanoke settlers. They were actually the first English settlement in the New World. The first settlement was at, I think, St. Augustine in Florida, but that was Spanish. The first settlement, English settlement in the New World was at Roanoke, North Carolina. What was eerie about it was they were supposed to have been brought food at the Sir Walter Raleigh brought them over. Then he went back to England. He was supposed to come right back, but he didn't come back for like several years afterward, and it was supposed to be like right afterward, but they didn't have food for several years. Then when they came back to Roanoke, they came back to the village, and everyone was gone, and everyone was like had left, or they didn't know where they were. And the weird thing was, it wasn't like everything was packed up and they left. It wasn't like they had taken all their belongings with them and they went out. And it wasn't like, and there were no bodies or anything there, so they didn't all die. Everything was like right where it was, as if like they were like fork and spoon on the table type of thing. Everybody just like as if right in the middle of everything, everybody just dropped what they were doing and disappeared. And so there have been over the years a lot of different like conspiracy theories about what happened, and like, ooh, did they all just disappear or something? What most likely happened was somebody had carved, and this is the only thing they found, carved in either a tree or the wooden wall there was the word Croatoan. And Croatoan is the name of a local Indian tribe. And so some people think maybe the local Indian tribe came and massacred them, killed them all. But again, there wasn't any signs of like a struggle or anything. Some people think that the settlers, having no food, were either captured and taken prisoner by the Native American tribe, or just merged into the Native American tribe. This, I think, is the best theory. Nobody knows for sure, but I think this is the best theory because some people reported seeing like 20, 30 years later down the road when they've approached this tribe again, seeing like little Native American children that had like blonde hair and blue eyes. Native American children usually don't have that, and they were probably children that a Native American guy had with an American woman or something like that. So, but they were most likely absorbed into one of the Native American tribes, but nobody knows what happened to them for sure. But anyway, there's a long little rant about Roanoke, the lost colony at Roanoke, founded by Sir Walter Raleigh, but that happened during Elizabeth's reign. In 1588, Queen Elizabeth's fleets defeated the Spanish Armada. This is one of the biggest things to happen, because this is going to be a question I'm going to ask you on the test. This is a very important question. Because what the Spanish Armada was is before this, Spain basically ruled the sea. Spain had like the most powerful navy at this point, and like the Spanish Armada was a very, very formidable enemy, and England defeated them, and this gave way to the next centuries until present day, that England has been basically the most powerful navy in the world. Not necessarily present day, but almost present day. England had the most powerful navy for years and years and years, for centuries. And it started with this, the defeat of the Spanish Armada, when England finally overtook Spain as the better navy. The Spanish Armada was one of the greatest naval forces the world has ever seen, and England beat them. As the ships that had survived the fighting tried to escape, then a terrible storm arose, and many of the fleeing ships were dashed to pieces on the rocky shore. According to one story, when the Spanish king received news of the Armada's disaster, which they lost to England and then they were crashed because of a storm after that, he calmly and simply said, "I sent my ships to fight against men and not against the winds and waves of God." He said, "What am I supposed to do?" And the defeat of the Spanish Armada destroyed Spain's plans to rule the world and set England on its way to becoming the world's most powerful nation. So Spain, before this, Spain was on a trajectory to become the world's most powerful nation. They had already settled the New World before England. They had a hold on Central America and South America. Most powerful navy in the world. They had a strong army, a lot of settlers, conquistadors, explorers. But this was a shifting point where it went from Spain now to England. And Age of Greatness. The years that followed the defeat of the Spanish Armada were called the Elizabethan Age. This was one of the most noted periods in the history of the world, and William Shakespeare, one of the greatest writers of all time, wrote many famous plays, including Julius Caesar, Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, during the Elizabethan Age. So William Shakespeare actually was alive during this time, is known as one of the greatest writers of all time. I'm sure you've heard of Romeo and Juliet, might have heard of Hamlet, Macbeth, Othello, Midsummer's Night Dream. Any of those you might have heard of, and even if you haven't heard of them, you probably know the story without even realizing it. Some people think of The Lion King as kind of like sort of like Hamlet. There are a lot of Romeo and Juliet's been done a million times in so many different ways, but that is the Elizabethan Age. And during the Age of Bible reading, during the Elizabethan Age, there were not many Bibles in print yet. There were some, but not many. And and many people could not read. The literacy rates were very low. Literacy rate is how many people can read. It was very low. The people were so hungry for the Word of God, though, that an order went out for a large Bible to be set up in every church. People flocked to the churches to read the Scriptures for themselves. Remember, this is when people started being able to read the Bible themselves. Men with good, strong voices were appointed to read aloud for the benefit of those who had no education. Later, smaller, less expensive Bibles became available, and soon every home had its own Bible for the families to read daily. One great historian wrote, "England has became a people of a book, and that book was the Bible." How the Bible changed England. Because of the Bible, a great moral change came over the people of England. See, when people get the Bible in their hands and are reading the Bible themselves, they realize that there's a change of heart. Greediness was replaced by kindness, laziness by industry, ignorance by a great desire to learn to read. The liberties of the English people, the prosperity of their businesses, the growth of education, the justice that prevailed in the land were all the result of the obedience to the Word of God. I don't think it is a coincidence, and that's where we're going to stop today, but I don't think that's a coincidence that during the time that England really started digging into the Bible was when they saw they really saw a boom, and that'll happen later on as well. When they get away from the Bible and they get back to the Bible, all of a sudden, boom, they have this huge bunch of success as a country. And we saw the same thing happen in America, that when America turned to the Bible, when America had a revivals, all of a sudden America was doing a lot better in the world. And we see for the last however many couple decades, America has not been doing very well religion-wise with their walk with God. And I think it shows, and we've been getting weaker and weaker as a nation. We removed God from schools in the 1960s, and we've been getting worse and worse ever since then, as far as our statistics. But all right, that's it for today, and I will see you next time.